What if the oldest money secrets in history were sitting in plain sight, ignored by almost everyone? I'm talking about the Bible. I read every single proverb about money, and what I found completely changed the way I see every dollar in my life. If you've ever felt buried under bills, stressed about saving, or trapped comparing yourself to others, you're not alone. Most people think making more cash equals freedom, but the truth? It's way deeper. The Bible has been dropping financial wisdom for thousands of years, and these lessons are not only timeless, they're shockingly practical. Here's what almost nobody realizes: the problem isn't just making money, it's knowing how to make it work for you. Debt quietly steals your freedom. Overspending poisons your peace of mind. And chasing wealth for status? It leaves you emptier than before. But hidden in Proverbs are patterns, habits, principles, and strategies that flip that script and show you the path to freedom, generosity, and lasting abundance. And here's the kicker: these principles aren't fluffy theory. They're practical steps you can apply today. You'll see how giving can actually grow your wealth, how small money habits compound into massive results, and how aligning your finances with purpose rewires not just your bank account, but your entire life. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll walk away with a blueprint few people ever see: wisdom that can reshape your money, your mindset, and your future. And trust me, what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about wealth. Most people think it's all about stacking cash, but here's the truth: alignment matters way more than the amount. It's not about having a fat paycheck, it's about how you align your money habits with your values. That's where financial psychology comes in, because when your actions with money match what you truly care about, even a small move feels massive. Think of it like in The Pursuit of Happiness. Chris Gardner didn't start rich, but his alignment with his son and his vision kept him going. When someone drops $10 into helping a friend while living on minimum wage, it often has more weight than a millionaire cutting a six-figure check with zero sacrifice. That's because true financial education isn't just about learning how to make money, it's about learning what money means to you. And honestly, personal finance gets powerful when you stop trying to impress strangers on Instagram and start asking, does this choice line up with who I want to become? A lot of folks chase amounts, thinking I'll give more when I'm rich. But that's backwards. Habits start now. If you can't manage $100, you won't magically manage $10,000. That's why financial tips that stress alignment are gold. Like in Spider-Man, where Peter learns, with great power comes great responsibility. Money's the same. Whether it's $10 or $10,000, how you use it reveals if you're aligned or just drifting. Want something practical? Try this: every time you spend, ask yourself if it reflects your values. Say you value family. Are you investing in quality time, or just scrolling Amazon for stuff you'll forget about? You value growth? Maybe that $30 is better spent on a course than another night of takeout. That simple shift rewires your money mindset and builds stronger habits. Over time, it compounds like interest. Small alignments today become massive gains later. Here's the kicker: alignment frees you from guilt. You stop asking, am I giving enough? Or do I have enough? And instead ask, am I living aligned? That's a way lighter load. And when alignment leads the way, even small sacrifices become powerful acts of purpose. But that opens up a deeper question: if alignment matters so much, what happens when debt pulls you in the opposite direction? That's where things get real, and we'll dive into that next. Debt isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's weight on your soul. It creeps into your mind at night, whispering stress and stealing peace. That's why financial psychology says debt is more than financial, it's spiritual. Proverbs compares being in debt to being a servant to the lender, and man, that hits deep. Think about it: when your paycheck drops, and the first thought is, who do I owe? You're not free, you're bound. Look at Breaking Bad's Hank Schrader before everything spiraled, always stressed about bills, tied down, chasing relief. That's the thing: debt keeps you reactive instead of proactive. You don't get to dream about how to make money creatively because you're stuck thinking about how to survive. And financial education shows us clearly, the longer you stay in that cycle, the harder it is to break free. It becomes chains you carry everywhere. Here's something practical: if you're in debt, list every single one, from credit cards to student loans. Face it head on. Then, Create a snowball or avalanche plan. Start crushing the smallest one or highest interest rate first. Those little wins boost your money mindset. Every balance you knock out gives you back a piece of your peace. Studies show people who clear just one debt feel a 20 to 25% drop in financial stress. That's not just math, that's mental freedom. And think about how it affects your habits. You want to give, invest, build wealth, but if 40% of your income is chained to payments, you're blocked. Imagine being debt-free. Instead of sending $500 a month to a credit card, you're putting it into personal finance growth, stocks, or even that side hustle you've dreamed about. That's when How to Make Money shifts from desperation to strategy. That's the flip from slavery to freedom. But here's the kicker, debt teaches you discipline. Once you learn to live below your means and cut the chains, your entire financial psychology upgrades. You stop treating money like an enemy and start seeing it as a tool. And when debt's gone, the freedom you feel isn't just financial, it's spiritual. But let's be real, if debt reveals the weight of chains, money itself reveals something even deeper, who or what you actually worship. And that's where we're headed next. Here's the raw truth, your bank statement is like a diary of what you really value. You can say family matters most, but if all your money goes to flexing with the newest gadgets or chasing status, the receipts tell a different story. Personal finance always exposes priorities. That's why financial psychology digs deep into money habits. It's not just about how to make money, it's about what your spending says about your heart. Think about the Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort wasn't worshiping freedom, he was worshiping excess. His habits screamed for more, no matter the cost. That's what happens when money becomes an idol. You start chasing bigger toys, fancier trips, louder approval. But the result? Emptiness. And it's wild how fast we trade peace for possessions, as if another car or designer label will magically fix the void. Spoiler, it never does. Here's where it gets practical. Grab your last month's expenses and highlight where the money went. Did most of it go into things that build you up, like education, health, investments, or into quick dopamine hits like takeout and impulse buys? This exercise in financial education is eye-opening because it forces you to see what you're truly serving. The goal isn't guilt, it's awareness. Awareness gives you the power to shift. Money itself isn't evil, it's neutral. But the love of money? That's where idolatry kicks in. Financial tips that actually work remind us, when money takes God's place in our lives, we lose balance. Picture this, if you're willing to skip giving, neglect family time, or wreck your peace of mind just to chase another dollar, then money's your master. It's calling the shots. And honestly, isn't that the very opposite of freedom? But here's the good news, you can flip the script. When you treat money as a tool instead of a trophy, you align it with purpose. Saving becomes an act of love. Giving becomes trust in action. Investing becomes building a legacy, not just flexing wealth. And that shift reveals something powerful, your treasure's not just here, it's beyond. And if money shows you worship, then real wealth might look way different than the world told you. Curious? Let's dig into that next. Culture screams that wealth equals Lumbos, mansions, and flexing on social media. But real talk? That version of wealth is smoke and mirrors. True wealth isn't about stacking material things, it's about contentment, generosity, and freedom from needing to prove yourself. Financial psychology teaches that if your peace depends on purchases, you're broke on the inside. And money habits rooted in purpose flip the whole game. Take Schitt's Creek as an example. The Rose family lost everything, but in the process they discovered what wealth really meant: relationships, humility, joy in simple moments. That's the irony. Sometimes losing the world's wealth opens the door to finding the kind that lasts. Personal finance done right builds assets, sure, but it also builds stability, options, and the space to live aligned with your values. Here's a practical step: redefine what rich means to you. Is it having $1 million in the bank, or is it waking up debt-free with no anxiety about bills? Studies show people who focus on experiences and generosity report 20 to 30% higher life satisfaction than those chasing possessions. That's not fluff, that's data. True financial education teaches us that net worth alone isn't wealth. Net peace is. Now, don't get it twisted, making money is still important. But it's a tool, not the trophy. Wealth is being able to say no to toxic jobs, yes to quality time, and still have margin to give and invest. Imagine putting $500 monthly into index funds instead of designer clothes. Over 20 years, that's $300,000 plus. That's power. That's wealth that actually creates freedom instead of just flex. And here's the twist: when you embrace this definition of wealth, you stop competing and start creating. The world's version says get more. God's version says be more. And that flips everything. Because suddenly, generosity feels richer than greed, and humility feels heavier than hype. Which brings us to the real test: giving. Because giving isn't just generosity, it's trust. And that's where the next lesson comes alive. Most people think giving is about percentages or rules, but it's deeper than that. Giving reveals trust that you'll be provided for even after you let go of something valuable. It's a money habit that challenges financial psychology because it goes against the hold-tight instinct. Personal finance often feels safer when we cling, but the truth? Trust grows in the release, not the grip. Think of It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey gave up his dreams again and again to serve his community. On paper, it looked like loss. But in reality, he built trust, loyalty, and impact money could never buy. That's the paradox of giving. The math says you have less, but life ends up richer. And studies back it. People who give regularly report higher happiness and lower stress levels than those who don't. Here's something practical. Start with one intentional act of giving each week. Buy lunch for someone, donate $20 to a cause, or cover a stranger's coffee. The point isn't the amount, it's the habit. It rewires your financial psychology to see money as abundant instead of scarce. And when you practice this consistently, it changes how you see everything, from saving to investing to how to make money itself. The beauty is, giving scales with trust. For some, it's tithing 10%. For others, it's spontaneous generosity when they feel led. Either way, the action isn't about losing, it's about believing there's more where that came from. And when you think about it, that's the ultimate financial education: trusting provision over panic, and aligning habits with hope instead of fear. And here's the wild part: the more you give, the freer you feel. It's like flipping the script on money's power over you. You stop seeing it as a master and start seeing it as a tool to bless. That's why giving isn't just generosity, it's trust in motion. But trust opens the door to something even bigger: freedom. And that freedom comes when you start handling money the kingdom way. Freedom doesn't come from stacking endless dollars, it comes from handling money with wisdom, balance, and purpose. The kingdom way flips the script. Instead of being driven by greed, fear, or status, you move with clarity and peace. That's why financial psychology says real personal finance mastery isn't just math, it's mindset. Your money habits either chain you or free you. And trust me, freedom feels way better. Think about Shawshank Redemption. Andy Dufresne spent years in prison, but his mindset kept him free long before he escaped. Money works the same way. If you're trapped by debt, envy, or comparison, you're locked up inside. But when you learn how to make money, manage it wisely, and release the grip of materialism, you walk out into freedom. That's handling money the kingdom way. Practically, that means living with margin. Build an emergency fund, keep debt low, and invest consistently. These aren't just finance tips, they're habits that open space for generosity and flexibility. Imagine having 0 credit card debt and 3 months of expenses saved. Suddenly, when an opportunity comes, new business, mission trip, investment, you're ready to move. That's freedom most people never taste. And let's be real, the kingdom way also means rejecting the bigger is better trap. You don't need a new car every 3 years if the old one runs fine. You don't need to keep up with the Joneses or Kardashians. Studies show people chasing status purchases report higher anxiety, while those focused on purpose-driven spending feel more peace. That's not coincidence, that's financial education done right. Here's the kicker: when you handle money this way, fear loses its grip. You're not worried about the next downturn, the next flex, or the next bill collector knocking at your door. You're walking in freedom, because your habits align with truth, not trends. But the real magic? That freedom isn't the finish line, it's the training ground. Because the next step is where practical obedience starts shaping spiritual growth. And that's where everything comes full circle. Obedience with money might sound boring, but it's where the real transformation happens. Every budget, every act of giving, every debt you avoid, it's more than a checklist, it's shaping who you are. Financial psychology shows us habits aren't just numbers, they build identity. Personal finance is spiritual formation in disguise. The more consistent you are, the stronger your money mindset becomes. Think about Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi had Daniel paint fences and wax cars. At first, it seemed pointless, even frustrating. But those small, obedient steps built the foundation for a real skill. Money works the same way. Building an emergency fund, cutting debt, giving consistently, at first, it feels slow. But over time, it builds strength, resilience, and freedom that compounds like muscle memory. Here's something practical: set a budget, but don't stop there. Track it weekly, adjust it monthly, and review it quarterly. Treat it like training. Financial education says reviewing your numbers regularly increases success rates by over 60%. That's obedience in action, tiny, consistent moves that seem small but change everything. Each adjustment isn't just financial, it's spiritual growth wrapped in discipline. And here's the twist: obedience reveals what you trust. Do you trust in credit cards to bail you out, or do you trust in building reserves? Do you trust in instant gratification, or in long-term investing? How to make money is one thing, but learning how to manage it God's way builds something eternal. Habits aren't just about surviving, they're about revealing your faith in action. The beauty of this is that spiritual growth doesn't happen in theory, it happens in practice. Each time you say no to debt, yes to generosity, or choose contentment over comparison, you grow stronger inside. And that's the point: financial tips aren't just survival tricks, they're spiritual training tools. And after walking through these steps, the question becomes, what happens when all of this wisdom comes together into one big picture? That's exactly where we're headed. Remember how overwhelming it felt to compare yourself to others and stress over money? Now you know the only path that matters is yours. You've seen how aligning your money habits with your values, handling debt wisely, and giving with trust can completely shift your financial psychology. These steps aren't just tips, they're life-changing habits that create freedom, peace, and long-term growth. Every small action you take now compounds into real wealth. Imagine checking your accounts a year from now and seeing stability, growth, and options you never thought possible. That's what happens when you start applying the insights from the Proverbs, step by step, habit by habit. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the next video that will help you level up your money mindset. And if you're ready to take this even further, click the link in the pinned comment now and start transforming your finances today. It's your time. With holistic health, nourish your mind, balance your finances, transform your life, you'll learn exactly how to create passive income streams, eliminate debt, and maintain mental clarity under financial pressure. Check out the material in the pinned comment and start building your freedom now. Remember, every small choice you make shapes your future. You've already started the journey by learning how to think differently about money. Keep applying these lessons, stay consistent with your money habits, and watch how your mindset and your life transform. The path is clear, and the results are waiting. Take action now and own your financial future.